परम दयाल, राम कृष्ण प्रभु परम दयाल, परम दयाल प्रभु परम दयाल, राम कृष्ण प्रभु परम दयाल, परम कृपाल मां परम कृपाल, श्री मां शारदा परम कृपाल, परम कृपाल मां परम कृपाल, श्री मां शारदा परम कृपाल, करुणा सागर युग अवतार, नैया हमारी करो भव पार, करुणा सागर युग अवतार, नैया हमारी करो भव पार, परम दयाल प्रभु परम दयाल, राम कृष्ण प्रभु परम दयाल, परम दयाल प्रभु परम दयाल, राम कृष्ण प्रभु परम दयाल, परम दयाल प्रभु परम दयाल, राम कृष्ण प्रभु परम दयाल, परम दयाल प्रभु परम दयाल, राम कृष्ण प्रभु परम दयाल, परम कृपाल मां परम कृपाल, श्री मां शारदा परम कृपाल, परम कृपाल मां परम कृपाल, श्री मां शारदा परम कृपाल, करुणा सागर युग अवतार, नैया हमारी करो भव पार, करुणा सागर युग अवतार, नैया हमारी करो भव पार, परम दयाल प्रभु परम दयाल, राम कृष्ण प्रभु परम दयाल, परम दयाल प्रभु परम दयाल, राम कृष्ण प्रभु परम दयाल, परम दयाल प्रभु परम दयाल, राम कृष्ण प्रभु परम दयाल। ओम श्री राम कृष्ण भगवान की जय। ओम पहला समरू गणपति देवा, पहला समरू गणपति देवा, विघ्न दे जो मारा कापी रे रामा, विघ्न दे जो मारा कापी रे रामा, पहला समरू गणपति देवा, पहला समरू गणपति देवा, बीजे समरू शारदा माता, बीजे समरू शारदा माता, वाणी निर्मल आपी रे रामा, वाणी निर्मल आपी रे रामा, पहला समरू गणपति देवा, पहला समरू गणपति देवा, बीजे समरू गुरु चरण ने, बीजे समरू गुरु चरण ने, पावन की दापा रे रामा, पावन की दापा रे रामा, पहला समरू गणपति देवा, पहला समरू गणपति देवा, छोटे समरू माता पिता ने, छोटे समरू माता पिता ने, सद्बुद्धि बहु आपी रे रामा, सद्बुद्धि बहु आपी रे रामा, पहला समरू गणपति देवा पहला समरू गणपति देवा पूजित पंचम परमेश्वर ने पूजित पंचम परमेश्वर ने मानव पदवी आपी रे रामा मानव पदवी आपी रे रामा पहला समरू गणपति देवा पहला समरू गणपति देवा विघ्न दे जो मारा का पीरे रामा विघ्न दे जो मारा का पीरे रामा पहला समरू गणपति देवा पहला समरू गणपति देवा पूजित पंचम परमेश्वर ने पूजित पंचम परमेश्वर ने मानव पदवी आपी रे रामा मानव पदवी आपी रे रामा पहला समरू गणपति देवा पहला समरू गणपति देवा पहला समरू गणपति देवा पहला समरू गणपति देवा। ओम श्री राम कृष्ण भगवान की जय।
जगको धारिणी माता दुर्गा माता दुर्गा जगको धारिणी माँ जगको धारिणी माँ
जगको धारिणी माता दुर्गा माता दुर्गा जगको धारिणी माँ
जागो जागो माँ जागो जागो माँ जागो जागो माँ जननी
जागो जागो माँ जागो जागो माँ जागो जागो माँ जननी
जागो जागो माँ जागो जागो माँ जागो जागो माँ जननी शिवरमणा जननी
जय काली देवी जय लक्ष्मी देवी जय शिवरमणा जननी
जय काली देवी जय शक्ति देवी जय शिवरमणा जननी शिवरमणा जननी जगको धारिणी माँ
जय
जय शिवरमणा जननी जग को धारिणी माँ
जय शिवरमणा जननी जग को धारिणी माँ
जग को धारिणी माता दुर्गा जग को धारिणी माँ
जग को धारिणी माता दुर्गा जग को धारिणी माँ
जागो जागो माँ जागो जागो माँ जागो जागो माँ जननी काली देवी जय शक्ति देवी जय शिवरमणा जननी
जय काली देवी जय शक्ति देवी जय शिवरमणा जननी
जय शिवरमणा जननी जग को धारिणी माँ
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 जग को धारिणी माता दुर्गा जग को धारिणी माँ
ओम श्री रामकृष्ण भगवान की जय। शंभो शंकरा सांब शिवा ओम पार्वती नमोस्तुते नमो नमः। ओम शिव 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 शंभो हरिनाम शिवनाम नटराजा। ओम शिव 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 शंभो हरिनाम शिवनाम नटराजा। सोम सुंदर गे शिव शंकर गे सोम सुंदर गे शिव शंकर गे शिव चिदंबर गे ओम नमो नमः। शिव चिदंबर गे ओम नमो नमः। ओम शिव 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 शंभो हरिनाम शिवनाम नटराजा। ओम शिव 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 शंभो हरिनाम शिवनाम नटराजा। करुणाकर गे परमा शिवने करुणाकर गे परमा शिवने आंडवने नी ओम नमो नमः। आंडवने नी ओम नमो नमः। ओम शिव 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 शंभो हरिनाम शिवनाम नटराजा। ओम शिव 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 शंभो हरिनाम शिवनाम नटराजा। सोम सुंदर ने शिव शंकर ने सोम श्यामसुन्दरने शिवशङ्करने शिवचिदम्बरने ॐ नमो नमः शिवचिदम्बरने ॐ नमो नमः ॐ शिव 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 शम्भो हरिनाम शिवनाम नटराजा ॐ शिव 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 शम्भो हरिनाम शिवनाम नटराजा करुणाकरणे परमा शिवने करुणाकरणे परमा शिवने आन्दवने ॐ नमो नमः आन्दवने ॐ नमो नमः ॐ शिव 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 शम्भो हरिनाम शिवनाम नटराजा ॐ शिव 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 शम्भो हरिनाम शिवनाम नटराजा हरिनाम शिवनाम नटराजा हरिनाम शिवनाम नटराजा हरिनाम शिवनाम नटराजा ॐ श्री राम कृष्ण भगवान की जय। ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ते भूरिदा जनाः। Aum Namo Narayanaya, dear sisters and brothers. The meaning of the prayer is, the nectar of your sin-effacing utterances brings life and hope to those scorched by misery. They are extolled by wise sages, and the mere listening to them would bring auspiciousness to all. They confer every prosperity. Those who spread them broadcast are verily magnanimous. They distribute what is completely satisfying to the hearers. Today, we read from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, which is a very practical scripture. The teachings are encouraging and make us feel that God is close to us. Sri Ramakrishna, the Master, uses simple examples to explain subtle Vedantic truths so that we can understand them. By meditating on these ideas, we benefit tremendously. The title of the chapter today is Festival at Panihati. The date is Saturday, 21st July, 1883. It was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon when Sri Ramakrishna, with Ramlal and 1 or 2 other devotees, started from Dakshineshwar for Kolkata in a carriage. As the carriage passed the gate of the Kali temple, they met M, coming on foot with 4 mangoes in his hand. The carriage stopped and M saluted the Master. Sri Ramakrishna was going to visit some of his devotees in Kolkata. Master to M with a smile, "Come with us, we are going to Adhar's house." M got joyfully into the carriage. Having received an English education, he did not believe in the tendencies inherited from previous births. But he had admitted a few days ago that it was on account of Adhar's good tendencies from past births that he showed such great devotion to the Master. Later, he had thought about the subject and had discovered that he was not yet completely convinced about inherited tendencies. He had come to Dakshineshwar that day to discuss the matter with the Master. "Master, well, what do you think of Adhar?" M replied, "He has great devotion for God." "Master, Adhar too speaks very highly of you." M remained silent a while and then began to speak of past tendencies. M. I haven't much faith in rebirth and inherited tendencies. Will that in any way injure my devotion to God? So now we see that M did not believe in reincarnation, so he did not accept that we inherit our past tendencies from previous births. But Master, like a father, explains everything so clearly. Master says, it is enough to believe that all is possible in God's creation. Never allow the thought to cross your mind that your ideas are the only true ones and that those of others are false. Then God will explain everything. What can a man understand of God's activities? The facets of God's creation are infinite. I do not try to understand God's actions at all. I have heard that everything is possible in God's creation, and I always bear that in mind. Therefore, I do not give a thought to the world, but meditate on God alone. Once, Hanumanji was asked, what day of the lunar month is it? Hanumanji replied, I do not know anything about the day of the month, the position of the moon and stars, or any such things. I think of Ram alone. So the Master uses Hanumanji as an example to explain that it is more important to think of God than to reason about the incredible power behind this universe. Too much of reasoning dampens our devotion to God. First, cultivate love for God, then, at the right time, as Master explains, God will explain whatever we need to know. The Master continues, can one ever understand the work of God? He is so near to us. Still, it is not possible for us to know him. Balaram did not realize that Krishna was God. M. That is true, sir. So, God and his power, as Master explains, God and his power are so subtle that we cannot understand it easily. Although God is seated in our hearts and permeates the entire universe, yet we cannot see him. This indicates his supreme and unimaginable power. Master also says that although Balaram lived with Sri Krishna, Balaram is Sri Krishna's brother, he lived with Sri Krishna, played and talked with him every day, yet he did not know that Sri Krishna was God himself. So many people also lived with the Master, yet very few recognized him to be an incarnation of God. Master says, God has covered all with his Maya. He doesn't let us know anything, and Maya is lust and gold. He who puts Maya aside to see God can see him, says the Master. Once, when I was explaining God's actions to someone, God suddenly showed me the lake at Kamarpukur. This is the village where the Master was born. I saw a man removing the green scum and drinking the water. The water was clear as crystal. God revealed to me that Satchidananda is covered by the scum of Maya. He who puts the green scum aside can drink the water. So the Master uses practical similes to explain how Maya covers everything. Saints always remind us that the world is an illusion, but it is not easy to understand it because we see it, we hear it, feel it, and are not aware of anything beyond what the senses perceive. Saints have experienced a higher aspect to our being. The innate divinity or Atman within us is covered by worldly thoughts, anxieties, fears, and what the Master calls lust and gold. If we try to contemplate on God more and more, then we can realize Him. The Isha Upanishad advises us to cover our whole perception with Brahman or God. In other words, feel that God is everywhere. God exists in all of creation and is present everywhere. The Master continues, "Let me tell you a very secret experience. Once I had entered the wood near the pine grove and was sitting there when I had a vision of something like the hidden door of a chamber. I couldn't see the inside of the chamber. I tried to bore a hole in the door with a nail knife, but did not succeed. As I bored, the earth fell back into the hole and filled it. Then suddenly I made a very big opening." Uttering these words, the Master remained silent. After a time he said, "These are very profound words. I feel as if someone were pressing my mouth. The universe is conscious on account of the consciousness of God. Sometimes I find that this consciousness wriggles about, as it were, even in small fish." So we see that while Master is explaining his beautiful vision and experience, somebody is stopping him. That is, God's power is not allowing the Master to give us the details of this wonderful experience. Boring the hole into the earth means we have to dive deep within ourselves to see that God is there. Our revered Guruji used to say that we are conscious of many things in the world, but God is consciousness itself. It is because of God that everything becomes alive and conscious. Through regular practice of sadhana and meditation, keeping holy company, reading the scriptures, we can direct our minds and senses within. We must try to live righteously and pray. Then the compassionate Lord will reveal Himself to us. Sri Ramakrishna gives us these beautiful hints to encourage us, to make us deepen our faith in the fact that prayer is not futile. Sadhana is not futile. We must practice prayer and sadhana, then we can remove the maya, that is the green scum, and find the clear crystal water or the Atman within us. The carriage came to the crossing at Shobha Bazaar in Kolkata. The Master continued saying, "Sometimes I find that the universe is saturated with the consciousness of God, as the earth is soaked with water in the rainy season. Well, I see so many visions, but I never feel proud about them." M smiles and says, "That you should speak of vanity, sir? Master, upon my word, I don't feel vanity even in the slightest degree." M. There once was a man who lived in Greece. His name was Socrates. A voice from heaven said that he was wise among men. Socrates was amazed at this revelation. He meditated on it in a long time in solitude, and then realized its significance. He said to his friends, "I alone of all people have understood that I do not know anything, but every man believes he is wise. In reality, all are ignorant." See, the knowledge of a wise person makes one humble, makes the wise man humble, because we are ignorant until we have supreme knowledge of God. Then we realize how little we know. A wise person is never proud because he or she knows that there is no end to knowledge. In fact, Sri Ramakrishna used to say, "As long as I live, so long do I learn." Master, Now and then I think, what is it I know that makes so many people come to me? Vaishnavacharan was a great Pandit. He used to say to me, I can find in the scriptures all the things you talk about, but do you know why I come to you? I come to hear them from your lips. So we see now, we may read so much about a country or any place from books, but when we listen to the experiences of those who have visited the place, it becomes more interesting, inspiring, and it becomes living, so to say. Thus, devotees loved to hear about God from the Master who directly experienced the living presence of God. Master's face used to glow when he described God's glories, and his experiences make God living for us. M. All your words tally with the scriptures. Navadvip Goswami also said that the other day at the festival at Panihati, you told us that day that by repeating the word Gita a number of times, Gita, 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 Gi, one reverses it and it becomes Tyagi or Tyagi, which refers to renunciation. Renunciation is the essence of the Gita. This is what M told Master, that Master had said that if you repeat Gita so many times, it becomes Tagi or Tyagi, and Tyagi means renunciation. So, how can we renounce while living in the world? The Master advises us to do all our duties as offerings to God. Whether we are cooking, cleaning, or doing office work, do these as worship to God, and every morning and evening practice spiritual disciplines like repeating God's name and singing His glories. Then we realize that nothing really belongs to us. Everything belongs to God, and we are His servants or devotees or trustees, whatever we feel in our heart, that God is the creator and the doer. We are but His instruments. By reading a few lines from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, we will be blessed. We can awaken the divine power within by meditating on these teachings and by trying to put them into practice. May the Master bless us with love and devotion to God's feet so that we may progress. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
अपने को आप भूल के हैरान हो गया, माया के जाल में फंसा वीरान हो गया। अपने को आप भूल के हैरान हो गया, माया के जाल में फंसा वीरान हो गया। जड़ देह को अपना स्वरूप मान मन लिया, दिन रात खाना पान काम काज दिल दिया। जड़ देह को अपना स्वरूप मान मन लिया, दिन रात खाना पान काम काज दिल दिया। पानी में मिल के दूध एक जान हो गया, पानी में मिल के दूध एक जान हो गया। अपने को आप भूल के हैरान हो गया, माया के जाल में फंसा वीरान हो गया। अपने को आप भूल के हैरान हो गया, विषयों को देख देख के लालच में आ रहा। दीप दीपक में जो पतंग जाय के समा रहा, विषयों को देख देख के लालच में आ रहा। दीपक में जो पतंग जाय के समा रहा, बिना विचार के सदा नादान हो गया, बिना विचार के सदा नादान हो गया। अपने को आप भूल के हैरान हो गया, माया के जाल में फंसा वीरान हो गया। अपने को आप भूल के हैरान हो गया। कर पुण्य पाप स्वर्ग नरक भोगता फिरे, तृष्णा की डोर से बंधा सदा जन्म धरे। कर पुण्य पाप स्वर्ग नरक भोगता फिरे, तृष्णा की डोर से बंधा सदा जन्म धरे। पी कर के मोह के सुरा, पी कर के मोह के सुरा बेभान हो गया। अपने को आप भूल के हैरान हो गया, माया के जाल में फंसा वीरान हो गया। अपने को आप भूल के हैरान हो गया। सत्संग में जाकर सदा दिल में विचार ले, बदन में अपने आप रूप को निहार ले। सत्संग में जाकर सदा दिल में विचार ले, बदन में अपने आप रूप को निहार ले। ब्रह्मानंद मिले मोक्ष जब ज्ञान हो गया, ब्रह्मानंद मिले मोक्ष जब ज्ञान हो गया। अपने को आप भूल के हैरान हो गया, माया के जाल में फंसा वीरान हो गया। अपने को आप भूल के हैरान हो गया, अपने को आप भूल के हैरान हो गया। ओम श्री राम कृष्ण भगवान की जय।
Om Namo Narayanaya, dear sisters, brothers and loving children. Let us sit calmly and concentrate our minds on God. Prayer helps to control the restless mind and gives us inner peace. Sri Ramakrishna says, the easiest way to concentrate the mind during meditation is to look intently at the flame of a lamp or a candle. Through regular practice, the mind becomes controlled and rests in God. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Om Sarvesham Swastirabhavatu, Sarvesham Shantirabhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate, Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj महाराज की जय, महामाई की जय, स्वामी जी महाराज की जय, गंगा मात की जय, महावीर स्वामी जी की जय, सर्व ऋषि मुनियों की जय, पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव।